All right, hello and welcome to another lesson from the Brookings Arts Council. As always, my name is Shelby Meyer, and today we're going to do a little bit of watercolor. So for this first project here, I do just have a little half sheet of watercolor paper. You can do it on printer paper or copy paper, that's just fine. But I do have watercolor paper just because I do have it handy. I have a piece of printer paper on my little clipboard here. That just makes it a little bit easier to kind of lift it up and show you what's going on. I have a cup of water since we're doing watercolor painting. I have a paper towel right here in my lap. I have my paintbrush. I have a straw. And then I have my watercolor palette, which is just a regular, I think it's like Crayola, maybe watercolor palette from Walmart. So to get started here today, we are going to get the watercolor paints kind of activated in the palette, and then while that's happening, I'll kind of explain what we're going to do with all of these supplies. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to dip our water in our brush and just get it really kind of wet, and you're going to put some dots of water. You'll shake it into the paint to kind of start to activate it. You don't really want the brush to touch the paint because you don't want to spread the colors to each other, but just kind of activating the colors that you want to use so that they kind of are absorbing that water and getting ready to be liquid form since they're solid in that palette. And so I don't want to activate all of them. I'm going to do the green because I want to use green. I think I want to use this kind of purple, like purpley pink magenta kind of color. And then I think red orange I'm going to use. So I'm just going to get those three wet. I don't need to get the whole palette wet just because then I don't need it to all dry out, things like that. And so while that paint is kind of acclimating and getting nice and wet to use, I'm going to tell you a little bit about the project. And so this project is a little bit different with watercolor. It's kind of getting into how to get it wet, things like that, the kind of brush you use. None of that is super important. So today we're going to do some blow painting, and so that's why we have the straw, and we're going to make them into germs. And so I thought with the pandemic and with everything that's kind of going on, I think that it's kind of funny and maybe like good to bring a little bit of humor into that. Not that it's a funny situation, but just that they can be kind of an interesting inspiration for an art project. And so that's why I have the copy paper here. I'm going to use it to make some little like eyeball cutouts, which I will need scissors for too, so you'll need that on your supply list as well. But the first thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to get those eyeballs drawn so that they're ready to cut out while I wait for my paint to dry. And so I do just have my pencil here. We'll see if this one's got lead in it, maybe not. And then really they're just going to be like a circle. And so I'm not going to do mine very big because remember I just have a half sheet of watercolor paper. So I have a circle, and then you're just going to draw a little black dot in the middle of that circle. So they look kind of like googly eyes. And you can have two that are the same shape and the same size. You can have one really big and one a little bit smaller. You can have them cross-eyed, so instead of having that black dot in the middle, you have it kind of off to the side, like it's looking to the side. Maybe they're looking in the same direction. Maybe it's cross-eyed. Maybe it looks like lizards. So I just have some different kind of eyeballs that I can cut out. Some different kind of choices to choose from. Maybe these ones go this way. And so that is the first step here. And you can kind of mix and match. You can draw them as like sets where they're supposed to look and work together or separately. It's up to you. So have fun with it. And so now that I've gotten those eyeballs drawn, they're ready to cut out while I wait for my paint to dry. I'm going to use my brush, and I'm going to kind of mix in some of that water on that first color that we're going to use, and make sure that you want to use that color first, and then we'll wash our brush, and then we'll use a different color and wash our brush, and then a different color. So use all of that color first and then move on to the next. So you don't have to wash so much. So I have my brush full of that kind of like purple. It's like a lighter purple. And I'm going to get a little bit more water. And you're just going to leave kind of a big blob of paint on your paper. Okay, and I'll show you when I get my blob done here. It'll be a little interesting to lift it up and show you since the paint will probably run. And so I got my blob of paint. You can kind of see that it's kind of a bigger blob. I'm going to do a couple of those, separate it out, because I want more than just one purple germ. We got to be pretty fast with it because you don't want the paint to dry before you can use your straw. Okay, so I'll get 3 in there, a couple different sizes. Again, working pretty fast. If it's easier for you to do them one at a time and then the straw in between, that's great too. That always works. Okay, I'm gonna put my paint brush in there, and I'm gonna take my straw, and you can kind of see my paper here, like as I'm gonna do this bottom one first that you can see, and you're just gonna use your straw, and you're gonna blow the paint out so it like spiders out in different directions. And you can rotate your paper. So we got one done. I'm gonna do all 3 of them, and then I'll lift it up and show you so it doesn't run where I don't want it to. So they can get kind of cool looking, like a spider out a little bit. So there are my purple. I'm gonna go ahead and add my green, and then I'll do my red. So I'm gonna do them a little bit faster. Again, to wash out your brush, my water's kind of purple now, but you're just gonna dance the brush on the bottom until it's all clean. And you can tell that it's clean when you can kind of get some water off, and you should be able to rub it on your paper towel and it not have color in it anymore. That way you know that you're not separating it from color to color in your paint palette. So next I'm going to do that red orange that I talked about. And you don't have to do 3 and 3 and 3. You can do any amount that you want. Maybe you only want 1 purple. Maybe you only want 1 red. It depends. You can use whatever colors you want, whatever you're interested in. Up to you. So a little bit of freedom with this one today. I think 3 is a good number though, so I'm going to probably do 3 of each. But again, completely up to you. Maybe some are big, maybe some are small. Doesn't matter. Sorry, you probably hear my cats. They're kind of play fighting right now, so they're a little noisier than usual. But that's what's going on in the background. All right, and I'm gonna put my paintbrush in that cup again and take my straw once again, and I'm just blowing them out. And if they go off your paper a little bit, that's okay. If they run into each other, that's okay. It's all just a little bit of fun here. So the next one we're going to do, again, washing our brush, getting that paint out, and then I'm going to do my green ones this time. All right. And maybe I'll just do only 2 green ones. I want them to be kind of big to fill that space. And you can make them a little bit bigger by just adding water. It doesn't need to be completely paint because it is watercolor, so the water will extend that paint. All right, paintbrush in the cup with my straw. Ooh, and they kind of mix a little bit, that's okay. Alright, got my 2 green ones are still a little bit wet, so I'm not going to lift it completely up. So this is what I got, so I'm going to set this aside to dry. And then the next step is you're going to cut out your eyeballs. Once your painting is all dry, you can attach those eyeballs with just a glue stick or glue, or maybe even tape. And since mine is really wet, I'm going to let it sit over here and dry for some time. I'll post a picture of my final drawing, or painting as it is today, and then a supply list as well, and just a little overview. But as always, again, from the Brookings Arts Council, if you have questions or concerns or suggestions, you can always reach out to us at the Brookings Arts Council, either through our email or our Facebook page is always really reliable. But I hope you enjoyed, and have a great day.